Tina, you've performed with legends, toured across decades, and shared stages with the most magnetic men in music. Be honest, were there ever any who truly tempted you? Tina laughs, a raspy, musical sound that feels like it still belongs on stage. Baby, are you really asking me that? Of course there were. You think I spent half a century shaking my hips next to the sexiest men alive and never had a thought? She grins, lowering her voice to a conspiratorial whisper. Honey, I'm not dead. I was fire on stage, and sometimes off stage, I had to hold myself back from burning the whole house down. She leans forward, her eyes glinting. I was always professional, always gave the people a show. But I won't sit here and pretend I never fantasized. Some of those men had voices that slid right into your bones, smiles that could undo your better judgment in a single heartbeat. I can name six. 6 men who made me want to forget the rules and just give in to the music, and maybe to them. She pauses, savoring the tension like a punchline she's rehearsed her whole life. You ready for this list? Because it's a wild one. 1. Mick Jagger. A laugh escapes her, warm and wicked. Lord Mick Jagger. That man was pure chaos wrapped in leather pants. She shakes her head, remembering, when I first met Mick, he was still learning who he was. He'd watch me move on stage, study my hips, my rhythm, and I swear that boy stole half his moves from me. But honey, watching him? Phew, that was its own education. Her voice turned sultry. Mick moved like every bone in his body had a secret. We had chemistry, the kind that could make the air sticky. People still talk about that Live Aid performance back in '85, where we were bumping and grinding like the world was ending. And let me tell you, none of that was rehearsed. That was just energy that couldn't be contained. She laughs low, almost to herself. You know, Mick had this restlessness. He couldn't stand still. He'd be humming, dancing, shaking, always alive. Backstage, he'd pace like a panther, grinning like he knew something you didn't. Sometimes I'd catch his eyes and think, Lord, if I follow him into that dressing room, I'm not coming out the same woman. Then her tone softens, a hint of affection breaking through. But there was another side to him, too. Between the fire and the madness, Mick could be tender, almost shy, like he wasn't sure how much of a storm to let you see. And that was the dangerous part. Because the moment you saw that vulnerability, you wanted to stay. She smirks, leaning back. We never crossed the line, but baby, we danced right on top of it. And if we had, I promise you, the Rolling Stones wouldn't have been the only thing still rocking in the morning. 2. David Bowie. Her eyes soften, then flash again, remembering. David Bowie. Now, that man wasn't just a singer. He was a planet orbiting on his own axis. I used to look at him and think, who let you be that beautiful and that strange at the same time? He'd walk into a room, and suddenly the air changed colors. She laughs lightly. Everyone else tried to impress me, big voices, big egos, louder suits. Bowie didn't have to try. He could stand silent in a corner and still have every woman wondering what it would take to make him look her way. Her voice drops to a whisper. And when he did look at you, Lord, it felt like he was reading the thoughts you didn't even know you had. There was something magnetic about that man. He didn't chase, he pulled. Tina's eyes flicker, remembering something dangerous and delightful. I remember one night after a show in London, he smiled at me, just a little tilt of his lips, and it was like a match struck inside me. He didn't have to say a word. His presence alone was music. She chuckles softly. David blurred every line. Boy, man, angel, devil. He was all of it at once. Being near him made you feel like you were discovering a new color every second. And more than once, I caught myself wondering what those colors looked like behind closed doors. Her grin turned sly. If I'd ever let myself go with him, honey, Ziggy Stardust wouldn't have been the only one exploring another world that night. 3. Prince. A slow smile spreads across her face. Prince, she says, drawing the name out like it tastes sweet. 5. Foot nothing, but he carried himself like a king. He didn't walk, he floated, like he was moving to a rhythm only he could hear. She laughs. He didn't need to say a word. Just that look, that sly little smile, and you already knew you were in trouble. The man had energy that could light up a city block. Her voice grows husky. Being on stage next to him was like standing too close to lightning. You wanted to touch, but you knew it would burn. And somehow, that's what made you want it more. She pauses, remembering. Prince played the guitar like it was alive. Every note was a secret he was whispering to whoever was listening close enough. And when you realized the music was about desire, not just rhythm, baby, it was already too late. Tina laughs, shaking her head. There were nights we performed together, and I had to remind myself, girl, you're here to sing, not sin. But with Prince, every glance, every movement felt like an invitation. And Lord help me, I wanted to RSVP, yes, every single time. Her eyes twinkle. Prince didn't just perform, he seduced the air itself. And I'll be honest, if I'd ever said yes, I don't think the stage lights would have been the only thing burning that night. For Marvin Gaye. Her voice drops to a near whisper, as though the name alone carries a memory. Marvin Gaye, she says slowly, savoring each syllable. Now, that man didn't just sing love songs, he was the love song. She closes her eyes briefly, lost in recollection. I remember the first time I heard him sing Let's Get It On Live. The whole room froze. Nobody breathed. It wasn't a performance, it was a seduction in real time. Her tone deepens, smoky, and rhythmic. Marvin had a voice that didn't just reach your ears. It wrapped around you, pulled you in, made you forget where you were. Every note he hit felt like it was meant for your skin. Tina smiles knowingly, and he had that softness like velvet, but underneath there was hunger. You could hear it when he let his voice crack just a little, like he was begging for something you wanted to give. She exhales, half laughing. Marvin Gaye could make a woman forget her name, her rules, her man sitting right beside her. I wasn't immune, honey. There were nights I caught myself wondering what it would sound like if he sang just for me, alone, no crowd, just that voice in the dark. She leans forward, eyes glowing. Some men sing songs. Marvin made you live inside them. And if I'd ever let him sing to me one-on-one, I don't think I'd have walked out of that room the same woman who walked in. 5 James Brown. Tina laughs, so hard she nearly claps her hands. James Brown, the godfather of soul. Lord, that man didn't perform, he exploded. Sharing a stage with him was like standing next to a volcano. You felt the ground move. She shakes her head, grinning. James would scream into the mic, sweat flying, dropping into splits like gravity didn't apply to him. And I'd be over there thinking, how's a woman supposed to keep her composure with that kind of fire next to her? Her voice lowers, rich with nostalgia. James had rawness, he didn't polish it or hide it. He was passion. When he performed, he didn't sing a note he didn't mean. It was primal. It was carnal. It was alive. She leans closer, playful but unflinching. And standing that close to him, you could feel it crawling under your skin. It wasn't about love or lust. It was pure energy. And energy like that doesn't fade when the lights go down. It follows you. She smirks, her voice dipping to a tease. I used to wonder what he was like when that spotlight turned off, when that fire had only one place to go. And I'll tell you right now, if I'd ever gone there, honey, that man would have kept the rhythm going all night long. 6 Al Green. Her demeanor softens. Her words slow to a near purr. Al Green, she says, smiling to herself. Now that man was silk poured into sound. He didn't just sing love songs, he lived inside them. She takes a breath, eyes far away. The first time I heard him do Let's Stay Together live, I swear the air changed. The crowd wasn't just listening, they were surrendering. And I was right there with them. Tina's grin turns mischievous. Al had a voice that didn't ask permission, it took you under. Every syllable was a caress. He could hum a single note and melt every ounce of resistance you thought you had. She leans in, confiding. What made him dangerous wasn't the power, it was the gentleness. That man could make sin sound like salvation. He'd stretch a word, slide through a phrase, and suddenly you weren't in control anymore. He was. Her laughter turned soft, genuine. If Al Green had ever leaned close, whispered one lyric in my ear, I don't think I'd have stood a chance. There'd be no stage, no spotlight, just the slow rhythm of two people losing themselves in a song that never wanted to end. She exhales, smiling, unashamed. Al wasn't just a singer. He was temptation, wearing a three-piece suit. And Lord knows if I'd ever fallen, I might never have gotten back up again. The room falls quiet. The interviewer sits frozen, unsure whether to laugh or applaud. Tina smirks, enjoying the power of her own storytelling. You look shocked, she teases. Why? You think I spent my life singing about passion and didn't feel myself? Please. She folds her hands, a queen at ease with her own history. Every one of those men had something untamable, something alive. I didn't just want them, I admired them. Because the truth is, to create the kind of music we made, you had to live on the edge of desire. You had no temptation. You had to dance with it and still walk away when the curtain fell. Her eyes shine, still mischievous, still proud. I never crossed the line, but I knew exactly where it was. And maybe that's why the fire never burned out. I learned how to keep it glowing, just enough to light up every stage I ever stood on. She leans back, laughter bubbling up again. So, baby, when you ask if I was ever tempted, oh, I was, by the best of them. And I loved every damn minute of it. Her gaze drifts upward as if she can still hear the music. Mick, David, Prince, Marvin, James, Al, they were all part of my rhythm. And if I'd given in, maybe the songs would have been different, but that fire would have been the same. She grins, wide and unapologetic. Now that's the truth. And after 83 years of life and love and music, I'd say A Little Temptation was a beautiful thing. The laugh returns one final time, low, rich, unmistakable. It rolls through the room like thunder fading into applause, and in that sound you can still hear the woman who never stopped dancing on the edge of the flame.